Hello there, Capricorns. Welcome to your teen tarot reading. So, welcome to the beginning of spring. I hope you all have had a good, past 3 months so far. So, I'm going to channel some messages for you guys before I go into this reading, okay? And I feel almost as if this month there is a little bit of a learning curve, and I feel that it is coming through on the work environment. There are a lot of I feel like quick, swift, decisive energy that is coming through for you in the work environment, things that you have to take care of. And you're somebody that is very good at working on your own, and you can be like in a room staring at a computer screen. And as long as people leave you to your own devices, work will get done. And whatever you promise them, you will deliver by the due date. And the quality of the work that you do speak for themselves. So I feel like you are best in an environment where you're working alone. But what I do sense coming through for this month is that you are going to have to, deal with other people. And I feel like it's extensive dealing with other people, trying to unravel problems, trying to look at best practices, trying to figure out the best way to handle other people, their opposing energies, their egos, the problems that they bring to the table. So I feel like it's a little bit of a learning curve, mainly because you have to maneuver the energies of other people, and they might not always be rational, but I feel that, as the calming influence in everybody's lives, it is your job to try to de-escalate tension, de-escalate conflict, hear opposite sides of the story. And so I feel like it's a little bit of a learning curve, mainly because you have to navigate other people's energies. Okay. I do see that for some of you, there will be major, major revelations when it comes to partnerships, okay? And I feel it is business partnerships as well as relationships. So let me just talk about contracts. I feel like if you have a contract with another person, and it might have been an implicit contract, a verbal contract with another person, I feel that you're in your best position to cover your assets, okay, in every way, to cover your yourself, to take to to safeguard yourself, to have everything clearly defined, written out, and sign on the dotted line. So that pertains to a business contract that you have with another person. If you have been kind of just like, if things have just been very verbally agreed upon between you and another person, it is really important this month to lay out everything, expectations that you have for the other party, that they have for you, and both parties need to sign on the dotted line. I feel that is something you need to do for this month to prevent, people backtracking on their words, to prevent miscommunications further down the line. And I feel very strongly in the summer time frame. Okay, so you want to make sure contracts are being just formally signed. The last message I have here, and it pertains to relationship partners. So this is like love relationships. I do feel there are added responsibilities coming through from a partner. And what I do sense is this. I feel like if you have been involved with somebody for a long time, and I would say like, more than a year, there are certain things creeping into the relationship. So it could be additional responsibilities in a relationship that are going to be a major source that's coming up for reexamination. And it's not always good or bad, but it's just, coming through for you both to try to find an agreement, to see what you expect from the other person and what they expect from you, and to see how you both can manage the responsibilities together. So I feel like the energy for delegating responsibilities is coming through, and it is necessary for this month. You're generally very easygoing, and when the responsibilities pile on, you just take care of it, and you do things with a smile. You don't take things personally. So when people give responsibilities to you, you gladly accept it, and you think it might just be a one-time thing. But I feel like there is this escalation of responsibilities, and I feel that you want to nip it in the bud, tell them early on, I can't handle this because I'm overwhelmed. And I feel like that will also allow the other person to take ownership for their share of the responsibility. So I do see some renegotiating happening for you guys for this month in your partnerships, business and love. Okay. So I'm going to go into your reading. I do feel, once again, we have the Mercury retrograde period. It is going to continue. It starts the beginning of the month. I believe it's on the 8th or the 9th, and it's going to run into the 3rd. And so the Mercury retrograde period is for us to kind of lie low, for us to wrap up projects, finishing up things that we have been procrastinating on, finishing up things that we have where, it's like revisiting things to make sure we can review it and to make sure that it is produced or it is being brought forth in the best light. So I do feel this energy about wrapping up things, anything that has been problematic. I also feel like reorganizing, redoing the inventory to make sure, like, take stock of what you have and what you need to purchase. Okay, so I do feel a lot of this coming through for those of you who are running your own business. There will be shortages, I feel, when it comes to inventories. For example, if you have a specific item and you're running low on stock, try to reorder them, the supply early on, because I feel like, it's kind of like Murphy's Law. Whatever you feel like you're low on inventory about, you want to replenish the stock because everybody is going to want that same item. So there's going to be a little bit of contention if you have been procrastinating on reordering things, if you have been kind of taking care of other things, or you're not taking care of like office supplies, for example. If you're running a business, that's going to be coming through. Okay, and it's going to cause a little bit of a problems, a little bit of a blockage when it comes to the smooth flow in the income sector or in the work environment. So you want to make sure, for those of you who are business owners, make sure that everything you need in order to conduct business, inventory is being replenished. Okay. The other thing I'm feeling here with this spread, and let's talk about this card here because I feel like the energy is coming through quite strongly. So this is the star, and the star is basically a card about coming into a situation where we feel like we're in alignment with our life path. What it is that we feel we're supposed to be doing here in this physical plane, and what it is that we feel is our higher calling. I feel like the month of March, there has been a lot of changes for many of you, and I feel like it's coming through in your finance sector, how you're making money, whether or not the way that you've been making money has been sustainable, and whether or not it is like using all of the skills that you possess, and whether or not you're being your skills are being properly developed and utilized in an environment. And I do sense for some of you in the past, okay, you might have stuck around in a situation that was not like optimal, but you stayed in it for security reasons. And you might have done things that would other signs would consider, where you're underpaid and overworked. But I feel like you stayed in it mainly because you thought that, oh, things are going to get better, or you thought that this situation is bearable. So I feel like you put up with a lot in the past, in the most, like, um, mundane type of environment. I feel like you did it, and I feel this element here about you kind of emerging from that and coming into the sense of realization where your strengths lie, what your assets are, what skills you're bringing to the table. And this energy about, feeling replenished, rejuvenated, and feeling almost like you know what you need to do in order to get yourself to the next level so you can develop more skills. So this is a card basically about having faith and having that sense of confidence in ourselves, that no matter what, if we put our mind to it, we can accomplish anything. So you're coming out of this sense of like, am I really good enough, to the empowering sense that yes, I am good enough. And so I feel like this comes about as a result of some learning curve, some major hurdle that you have had to overcome in the month of March. And it's getting you to this point right now where you don't doubt your capabilities, you don't doubt yourself, you don't doubt your skills. And you are bringing, the skills that you possess, whatever hurdles you had to overcome. It forced you to stand in your truth. It forced you to be very assertive as well. And so you're bringing those lessons into this new month. And I feel like the first test of this is going to come into the work environment. You are dealing with, hostile energies in the work environment. This is a card about being very nimble on your feet, about having to deal with people and possibly sorting out their problems, sorting out their grievances, sorting out their complaints. And I do see this as like, electronic type of communication, emails, text messages, even phone calls. So just make sure that your phone is charged. And I do feel that you might be bombarded with a lot of communication. I do see as well, if you're dealing with this physical person, there might be an air sign, so an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra in your work environment that is creating a little bit of tension, okay? I don't feel the tension is directed at you, but I do feel that this person is bringing in a very, I want to say, I feel like aggressive or even chaotic energy. It's like whenever they're around, the environment gets louder, the tension gets thicker. And so navigating the energies of having to work as a team with this person is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I feel because they're showing up in the upright position, this is somebody that cares about the truth. They're not an instigator. They just want to, sort out the truth. They just want to get the facts straight. And so they might have a little bit of a curt, frank, or even like aggressive way in which they're trying to get to the bottom of things. So don't take this energy personally, okay? Just be very careful when it comes to communication with this person. And so, once again, whatever skills you have learned in the time frame, whatever conclusions you have drawn about your capabilities, and the good qualities that you bring to an environment, I feel use that same calmness. Keep yourself very, very centered because the energy for this month is going to be a little bit destabilizing, especially at work. And I feel a lot of it has to do with retrograde energy, where problems from the past kind of come back, and you might not have caused these problems, but you're now in a position where you have to deal with them. And so, in the communication sector, don't get defensive. Don't take things personally. You can't. You're not. You're not God. So don't try to take on so much responsibilities and make promises that you can't deliver. Okay. So if people are coming in and they're kind of like, fix this, fix that, just tell them, I will get back to you when I have the time. When I finish my previous obligations, I will get back to you. So don't bite off more than you can chew. Pick your battles. And I feel like, this is a situation where I feel a lot of you are generally very passive. And you're going to be thrust into a position where you have to defend your values, where you have to set the record straight. And I feel that looking at this situation from an objective lens rather than taking things personally is something that's going to win you over with everybody around you. Okay. And you're very good at that, Capricorn, but I feel like more so this time, just internally for your own sake. Just make sure that you understand that you're doing things by the book. People's complaints, people's problems, it can wait. And it honestly can wait because the energy for this Mercury retrograde, it is kicking up a dust storm and it's affecting people and how they communicate. So don't take things personally, okay? What I do see coming through is from the last month, I mentioned there has been some type of, I mentioned about father figures, especially, and I mentioned about health issues. I do see that energy still permeating for this month. And I do feel here with both of these cards coming out so early on with the star, which indicates healing, the strength card, which traditionally it is a card about, physical strength. So stamina, physical strength and stamina type of energy where it might be diminishing. Okay. So get in touch once again with your parents. Make sure they're okay. The elderly people in your lives. I feel like that's going to be quite important for you guys for this month. All right. Um, First of all, let's talk about your expectations coming through for this month. And I mentioned earlier, you are the lone wolf of the zodiac, and if you had to work in a basement, right? And you had to stare at the computer all day, or if you had to work in a cubicle and you had to interact, on just doing something that is very tedious, you're very good at that. You don't mind that. But the energy is kind of like forcing you to get out and heavily socialize and deal with people. So a lot of you might be in the customer service type of capacity, okay, and where you're going to have to make sure that you sort out people's issues, where you're going to have to make sure that you do quality control and that everybody is happily served. And I feel like it is taking a little bit energetically from you. So I do feel like that's something that you might not be comfortable with, but that's something that you're going to have to learn to deal with and to cope. And I hate saying that because it just feels like, there's no way out, but I feel it's a little bit of a learning curve. And once you bypass this curve, you're going to handle the energies of other people without a problem and without it heavily affecting you. So the month is more about, carving that personal space for yourself whenever you have the time, but also managing other people's and their complaints, and even possibly, managing an environment where you have to heavily socialize with people that you might not know well, and you might have to, attend functions and events for your work. And you might also need to be, like meeting a lot of people in your field, people who are very accomplished, people who are actually very, very wealthy, is what I'm sensing. So, like rubbing elbows with the rich and famous. This is something you might have to do just by the nature of your work. And I feel like it's making you a little bit nervous and anxious. They're going to pan out fine. Those events are going to be okay. All right. So don't stress too much over it. Things will happen and unfold the way they're meant to. So, don't stress out over it too much. Okay. The energy that you bring to the table, though, it is very, very strong. It shows somebody who's actually very quite confident, and I feel like you're doing so in a very soft, unassuming manner. So you will be able to attract people to you. Okay. I also feel for some of you, there might have been like a new job that you might have started, and you're learning the procedures, you're learning the technical skills. And I do see, a lot of computer based work. I do feel like people who might have to, sit in front of a computer, do data entry. And I also feel people like working heavily with their hands as well to create products and to create things. And so as a result of it, I do sense that you need to take better care of your physical health. So this means, doing stretches, like don't just stare blankly at the computer. You need to get out, you need to exercise a little bit more, because I feel like the nature of the work itself, it might demand long hours, it might demand overtime. And so you need to take better care of your health, okay? The financial situation is flowing in very strongly. So you have the strength card, which basically tells you that you're on the right track here when it comes to your financial situation. We have as well the Six of Wands, which basically means getting positive accolades and reception for a work well done. And we have you working away in order to finalize projects, finalize contracts, in order to deliver on the promises that you made to clients, to guests. So the money situation is flowing in a very, very stable manner. All right. I do see a lot of money being siphoned into the household. So they're saying, large expenditures in the living environment. So this can be physical rent that you are paying where it exceeds a certain, percentage of your income. And I also feel like social functions where you might have to buy expensive clothing in order to dress up, in order to show your best foot forward. And you are not comfortable, spending an extravagant amount of money on a social outing, especially on an outfit. But there will be circumstances where you're going to have to dress up, like I feel formally, or like evening wear. And I feel like, expensive clothing. And so there are some expenditures coming through household, okay, rent or even renovation, or even expanding the household, such as a few remodeling as well. And then social function, business, professional events where you're going to have to expend money to dress up. So I do see a lot of you getting invited to really fun, exciting but also like professional events and engagement where you will be able to meet people who are very accomplished in their field. So it's a really good energy. What I'm sensing as well is I feel like you're going to be quite busy this month. This card is, just working away, chipping away at responsibilities and working in a very diligent fashion. A lot of the times it can also indicate, job searches, but I feel like that predominantly has come in for you guys in the past month. So I feel like you're working away at your craft and you're honing the skills to provide a better like craftsmanship or better services for others. And so because the energy is very very busy, I feel like social engagement and even I want to say like social events just for fun and entertainment, their opportunities might not be there mainly because you might not have the time. Okay. And either way, I feel like this deals with friendships and group associations. And I feel like a lot of you, too, you also have a habit of making friends in the work environment. There's nothing wrong with that. So I feel like there's a heavy energy of mixing business with pleasure. I do see like drinks flowing in a business professional environment. So I feel almost like this collapsing of the friendship circle with the professional circle and mingling and blending the two, which is good. And this is something that I feel it saves you time. You instead of having to carve out individual time to spend with friends, I feel you're collapsing, the friendship circle as well as the professional circle so that you kill two birds with one stone. And a lot of it has to do with just circumstances, but also it's because of the time crunch as well. I do see a very heavy energy for in-laws. Okay, so the house of in-laws is traditionally represented by the ninth house, and we have here the Queen of Wands. So I feel like for some of you, you might be dealing with this person. This can be male or female, but I feel like it's an in-law type of energies where somebody is very very this is not a bad card, is in the upright position, and it's somebody who might be very maternal, so male or female, they're very caring, they're very loving, and I feel like they're always available if you need them. And they might drop by your door and they might tell you, hey, if you need anything, don't hesitate to call me, because I feel like they realize you are inundating yourself with a lot of responsibilities and they want to be of assistance. I feel like this is somebody who's already retired and they love children. So if you have like a new child or you have young children in the picture, they're going to want to be more involved and they're going to, come by your house with food, with toys, and they might even want to, babysit pets if you have them. So I feel like there's a heavy involvement, there's a heavy energy here of people willing to help you. Okay, so delegate responsibilities. At the same time, I have this energy in your fourth house, which deals with family. So, in the family environment, this is a card about, needing to say what's on your mind, needing to resolve issues, and needing to stay ahead of the game. If something creeps up in your household environment where you feel like things are a little bit chaotic, or you feel like you need to have a talk with your partner or whoever you're living with, even like a roommate, I feel like you're sweeping something under the rug or you're waiting for things to escalate before you say something. And I just want to say like the energy for this month is about, nipping things in the bud. If something creeps up, address it. If something is problematic, just address it early on so that people can just, get things out in the air and then happily find a resolution and then move on. Okay. So let me see if there's anything else. Okay, so the relationship sector. So going back to what I mentioned about contracts and what I mentioned overall about relationships in love and in business, I feel that this is what I'm sensing for some of you. Love relationships. Okay, let's talk about that first. Um, for some of you who are in a love relationship, you're making really good strides this entire year. I feel like a lot of new things are coming through for you. And Capricorns, I feel like a lot of the times in work, you stay in one place and you stay for a really long time, even past its expiration date. And then also in love relationships as well, you could possibly stay in a situation that is not optimal, but you keep at it until, it's past its expiration date. And so one thing I would urge you here is when it comes to love relationships, you want to be honest with yourself and you really want to examine whether or not the other person is still allowing you to grow. A lot of the times too, when we expand really fast, right? And when we have a lot of opportunities that come in for us, right? And we're growing, we're progressing, we might look at our relationships in a different light. We might feel like they're no longer valid, or we might feel like we're drifting apart. And the same goes with your friendship circle. So I do feel this is a good month for you to reconnect with your friends, reconnect with people that you might have fallen out of touch with, expand your social networks, and don't cocoon yourself into relationships too much. You want to expand your energy out a little bit more. Okay, so this is a card here when it comes to relationships. It's about examining areas where whether or not the relationship is still good for you, and whether or not you can make changes to not cocoon in a relationship but expand your energy outwards. Okay, so it's a good card, and literally some of you could just be involved here. This is a card of Virgo, a Virgo in energy, a very, very strong spiritual person that is providing a lot of guidance, a lot of, they're providing a shoulder for you to lean on, okay? And also in partnerships, I feel like the same thing applies. Don't wait for things to happen at the last minute. You want to make sure that anything that is agreed upon, anything that is verbally or implicitly agreed upon, is written down on paper so that both parties are clear about their expectations, who's contributing what, who's getting what out or what percentage out. So this is a card about reassessment and really looking deep and digging deep into the relationship sector as it relates to love partnerships or even business partnerships, to figure out who's doing their fair share and how we can also cut expenditures so that we're not operating at a loss, or we're operating at a wider, revenue margin. Okay. You have some really positive things. The only thing I feel might be a little bit contentious would be having to deal with other people, sorting out other people's problems. But I feel like such is life. And so this is the month where I feel like you're going to be in very high demand on the work front. I feel like work responsibilities are calling you left and right. Okay. And you're not the type to procrastinate. So I don't feel responsibilities piling up to the point where you can't handle them. It's just the energy is a little bit more about other people, about sorting out people's problems, sorting out, having to connect and engage with other people. And if you are a little bit more on the introverted and especially shy side, if you tend to be more of a wallflower at social functions, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable because there will be opportunities to engage in a large group, and you might feel a little bit shy, you might feel a little bit trepidatious, but don't shy away from the social engagement. It's going to be really good for your professional careers. Okay, so I'm going to move on into your love reading now, Capricorn. So don't fret over it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that card here that deals with your seventh house, which deals with partnerships, relationships overall. And I'm going to get the spread laid out for you. So what's in store for the Capricorn people for love relationships for the month of teen? I'm seeing some of you attraction on the love front, especially from colleagues at work. Okay, so work colleagues, attraction, major, major attraction. Somebody standing up for you, somebody like lightening the mood. If you're feeling a little bit down one day in the month of April, somebody's going to cheer you up. So I feel like somebody in the work environment is going to, be coming in to cheer you up. And especially for those who are single, I do feel there's going to be instant connections made on the love front in the work sector. So co-workers, colleagues, possibly even clients. So just, I don't advise, love office romances, and especially dating people that you work with. Just be careful, get to know the other person, slow things down a little bit. Just get to know the other person before you jump the gun, okay? Yeah, heavy, heavy, heavy air sign. So Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. But let me get the cards all laid out first. Um, I'm also getting this, okay? For those of you who are out dating, just, dating and you're trying to figure out, is this the right person for me? Should I go with choice A, B, C? I feel like you need to take it slow. What you see is not what you get. So you need to like date somebody several times, like go on a few dates before you make up your mind, because this is a card about spiritual guidance. When it comes in the relationship sector, it means dig a little bit deeper. Let them show themselves. Let them reveal themselves. Information is coming through so that you can have a better, a clearer, and a more objective picture of what you're getting yourself into. So just be a little bit careful for those of you who are single and out looking for love. And, you might encounter somebody who looks amazing on paper, but they're telling you to wait a little bit. So sorry about that. They're telling you to wait a little bit. So give me just a moment here. I have 3 more cards. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to pull out one more card here and for the outcome. Okay, so let me just see here. Okay, so let me just talk about some of you who are in a relationship already, because the foundation we have here, a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, okay? And it's linked up here with the Four of Wands. So let me just say, for those of you who are involved with a fire sign already, the foundation is something that we already know to be true coming into the month of April. So you have a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. This is the personality of somebody who is a self-starter, who's very ambitious, very motivated. And I want to say, like, they see themselves as the bachelor or the bachelorette. And so they're not too ready to jump into a relationship, and they're not too ready to commit to one person, commit to just one person. And if you're in a relationship with this person, it might have been a series of merry-go-round where you might have the same arguments over the same things. And I also feel like in the past, the relationship might have been quite good. It seemed to me to be quite stable in the past, but I feel like there aren't enough commonalities for you both to be in a relationship in the future. Okay. And you might feel like this person, they just might want to play the field. They might care about you a lot, but I feel like there are some difficulties in the both of you coming together and having a solid, stable relationship with one another. So I have here a situation where you are reassessing. You're reassessing whether or not this is still viable for you to stay in, and you're reassessing whether or not you really trust this person. I do see some breaches of trust coming through. If we look at this in this combination with the hermit is about digging deeper. There is a fire sign here that you are potentially already involved with, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. The energy for this person is they are highly spirited. There is a very, very strong um, attraction between you and them. It's a lust-filled type of a interaction. And I also feel like they're not going to commit, okay? They're not going to commit. They have made that clear in the past, and I feel like if you are hoping for some type of a change around in the way that they think or the way that they see the relationship, I feel that a discussion needs to be hashed out, because the same energy is like a cyclical pattern. Trust issues I feel brewing with this relationship. And let me talk about the past. What we have here is the Eight of Wands. This is the card about communication. A lot of communication coming in very swiftly. When it shows up in the reverse position, it's sort of like inconsistent communication. Inconsistent can be, you send them a text message and then they don't respond until a few days later. Or it could be a situation where the communication has been, it's sort of like they say one thing today and they say another tomorrow. So you're getting a lot of inconsistent communication from a relationship partner. They might be traveling. They might also be like in a different time zone as well. So if you're dealing with that, just be very patient. However, I do feel like the inconsistencies is coming to the point where you have to sit down and have a discussion, because I feel like it's wreaking havoc into whether or not you can trust the other person. So I'm seeing like, and we have once again the hermit in the upright position. So it's the same energy, the hermit here. So I want you guys to really focus on a specific relationship partner, and especially if they are an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or a Capricorn, if they are, whether or not the communication has been truthful. So I'm getting like a same argument happening over and over again. And in the past, you might have said that, but I heard this, and then they might have defended themselves with, some type of a counter argument. And then every time you have an argument, the story changes. Okay. So be very, very careful about these nuances and be very careful about nipping problems in the bud. If their stories are inconsistent, I feel like there's some deception here. And they're telling you, don't turn a blind eye to this. Okay. Dig a little bit deeper. Get to the bottom of the story because it seems like it's a recurring pattern. So that's for those of you who are in a relationship right now, and I feel like a very strong, heavy fire sign energy. So for those of you who are single, things are looking good. We have here an air sign. So this is an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. And I feel like this person, for some of you, is coming in your work environment. This is somebody who's very honest, very truthful, very faithful as well. And I feel like they have like a very I'm seeing I'm seeing somebody who has a really good sense of humor, sharp, they're saying sharp as a knife, and a really, really good sense of humor. So I feel like, they tell you a story and then they take you down a specific like train of thoughts with their story, and then they do a switcheroo on you at the last minute. So you feel like they start out with a serious story and they switch the situation around, and then the story becomes like a joke. So I feel like it's somebody who's very witty, who's very talkative, but not, annoying and overwhelming. It's somebody that is a problem solver. And I feel for some of you, this is in your work environment. There's going to be a moment at your work environment this month where you're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed. And I feel like this person comes in and they're going to tell you like a little, snippet, like a little anecdote, a little joke, and it's going to brighten your day. And if you're in an environment where you feel like you don't really fit in with other coworkers, this is a person that's going to make you feel very welcomed. Okay, like they're going to go out of their way to extend an offer of friendship so that you feel like you belong. And I feel like if you have, especially for those of you on the shyer spectrum, like if you're a little bit more of a wallflower at social functions, if you're a little bit more introverted, if you keep to yourself, this is somebody who is going to pry you out of your shell, pry you out of your lair so that you can engage in, social functions. Okay, so it looks really good for those of you who are, uh, starting new jobs, and this is a person coming across your path. Or if you're out in dating, I feel like this is somebody that you have an interest for. Okay, this is somebody that you really like. I do feel this is a person that is very ready for a relationship, and I feel like they're truthful and they're honest. So moving forward, crowning this reading is something that you're thinking about. We have here an air sign. So we have an Aquarius, Gemini, or a Libra. So we have some very heavy air sign energy coming through for you for this month. And with the Queen of Swords, this is somebody who's very, very no nonsense. Okay, they know what they want and they usually go after it. And I feel like a quirky sense of humor, good sense of humor. It might err on the darker side, but they're not inappropriate. So I feel like this is somebody who's very, very smart. And you're thinking about this person and you're wondering why they're not soliciting you for a date. So I feel like you're getting a lot of attention from them. They might help you at crucial moments, and they're very like good at problem solving. And you might be wondering, how do they feel about me? Why are they so, inconsistent as well? So, one day they might be super friendly and the other day they might be a little bit on the moody side and they want to shut out the world. And you might be wondering, like, why are they like that? Why are they, showing different sides of themselves every day? But I feel like the bottom line is what you see is what you get. They might be a little bit on the moody side certain days and they might not deal with stress very well. And it's linked up here with the Five of Wands. So this is somebody that you might not have, true compatibilities with. And I feel like they argue not only for argument's sake. You might feel that way, but I feel like they argue for the truth. They argue to get to the bottom of the story. They argue to get at facts. And so you're facing somebody or you're thinking about somebody who might have like a very straightforward, a very interrogative type of energy. So if you are in a relationship with this person, I feel like they're asking you a lot of questions, and I feel like you need to be very honest and you need to be very clear that they're trying to get to the bottom of something. I feel like somebody who might have a lot of questions for you. So if you have been honestly, Capricorns, I feel like if you or your partner have been stepping out of a relationship, there's a recurring theme here where you're going to have to hash out and get to the bottom of things once and for all. Okay, so if you're involved with an air sign and you have been stepping out on the relationship, they're coming in and they're going to want some answers. And likewise, if your partner has been kind of flirtatious outside of the relationship in the past, you're going to demand some answers. So you're taking a little bit more of a no nonsense approach. Okay. And then for singles, I do have this good energies coming through, this heavy air sign energy. Okay. So Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. I do have as well fire sign, fun and exciting, but I feel like it's somebody that might breeze in and then they combust, like they burn out. Okay, so moving forward into your future position, we have here the Emperor in the reverse, the four of this is the Four of Swords in the reverse, and the Lovers in the reverse. Take relationships small steps. Okay, take them very slowly. Make sure that you understand what the other party expects of you. Make sure you wait so that they can reveal more of their expectations, more of their backstory. So don't jump into relationships. So they're saying like this is kind of like the blockage. When it shows up in the reverse, it's sort of like a little bit of a warning for you. And with the Four of Swords, this is a card about rest and relaxation. So I feel like for some of you, there might be, I feel like if you started dating somebody, there might be a little bit of a getaway, like a retreat between you and a significant other. And I do feel like you are going alone with a significant other. And when you are spending a lot of time in close proximity with each other, a lot of the same issues are going to come up. And because you might be like camping in a tent or in a cabin with a lot of alone time, you might be at a resort, you might be on a trip. I feel that the communication is going to bring up some things in the past that might not have been adequately addressed, especially if you're with a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. And so I feel like there are trust issues here with this Lovers card in the reverse. There are also issues about fidelity, issues about whether or not you both are committed to each other. So this is a time for you to revisit problems from the past for those in relationships so that you can hash them out, so that you can bury the hatchet for good. And it's a really good time to come clean, to be very honest, operate from a place of higher truth rather than an ego space, okay? Operate from the fact that I love partner, I respect them, and I want to be honest, rather than, trying to cover your butts, trying to, I want to say, like, spin a story a specific way, or trying to present yourself in the best light. And I feel like this energy is going to flow both ways. So I feel like there's heavy energies here for uncovering the truth, actions from the past coming back in, and discussions from the past that have led nowhere. I do see a lot of cyclical patterns. Discussions about fidelity, about, where are we taking this to relationship? Are we getting into a marriage situation or not? Are we serious with one another? How serious are you with me? These issues are coming through for you to re-examine in your relationship sector. So I would say this is a really good time for singles. I feel like singles, you have some solid candidates coming through. And singles, take your time, get to know them, okay? Because I feel like you're dealing with honest people for those who are single, like especially this air sign. But I feel almost as if, they might like, it might take a really long time for you to establish that emotional connection with them because they're very intellectual. And so it's going to take a little bit more time. Don't cross it off your list. Just give them the benefit of the doubt and give them a few more dates, okay? And especially for those of you who have a recurring issue here with a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, this is a good month for you to either bury the hatchet or honestly go your separate ways, because I feel like it's a cyclical pattern. It's not a stable relationship. With the foundation as the marriage card in the reverse, this is not indicative to me of a solid relationship. And so you might need to cut your losses and move on. Okay. So I apologize for the little bit of a grim reading when it comes to your relationship sector, but there are a lot of things that needs to be hashed out for you this month, a lot of things that need to be revisited. And so I do wish you the best, Capricorns. If you'd like to get a private reading with me, please visit the website. It is in the description box below where you can book an appointment for yourself. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, it is greatly appreciated. The link also is in the description box where there's an arrow. You click on it, it expands, and it gives you the information right there, okay? I do wish you the best. I'll be back for the mid-month reading, and best of luck with everything, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.